Basically, one big problem is when you're assigning passwords and logins, they can't start with numbers. They have to start with letters. Also, when you register your students, it gives you this printout sheet, and it has this crazy long hyperlink, and it wants you to go there and actually give it to the students so they can register with this strange code. I had a lot of problems with that, so I just don't do that anymore. I highly suggest just um, registering them yourself, then activating each account individually, giving them their own password and login, typically something easy, maybe their student number and their last name, and then give it and tell every student that's what it is. Have them log in one time. They can change all of their information however they would like to, update their email, and problem solve. Another limitation is you can't see what the students see. So I suggest creating an actual account for yourself. This is nice because then whenever you do assignments, you can see what you're actually posting to your students, or if they have problems, you can see what their problem is. Also, this LMS is designed for America. About 91% of the people in America are using it, so there's obviously no Japanese support. The rubrics, the curriculums, a lot of these standards are set up for the American system, so you're going to have to make some adjustments. If students have issues with the sites, you're going to be the first person they contact. So usually I create screencasts for the first couple of assignments, so my students know what to do. So there are some other limitations, and I said earlier that wikis and flashcards both are problematic. And let me explain why. To begin with is an issue of privacy. I think a lot of schools feel that they don't want their student data going out. And there's other complications with both of these, so I kind of gave up on them. But Engrade may have made some improvements, I'm not sure. So all of the flashcards are held in a repository, and this repository is based on whatever you set the class up for example, English as a foreign language. Once your students make a flashcard, it'll move its way into that repository. Also, teachers can't really tell which students made which cards. Also, you can't assign grades directly to the flashcards, so I believe that the tool is really for personal goals, and maybe for parents in the US to monitor their students or something like that. One thing you can do, apparently there's a wiki and you can embed the flashcards in them. Wikis are about the only place, besides for All Think lessons, where you can embed information in things like this, but it's really undeveloped, as are most wikis, and you need a little bit of technology skills to actually do this. So to be honest, I still can't really figure out how to make good use of these tools besides for, I guess, using the wikis. So maybe give it a shot. Maybe it's easier now. I just always find that if my students don't really have the technological know-how to do something, there's no reason to really complicate things with extra steps. You're just going to cause yourself a lot of problems and headaches with your students. Also, discussions have some limitations. Unlike most SNS systems, Engrade actually is quite teacher-centered. This makes it a bit difficult to do some group activities. I think both me and my students feel this way about that aspect of the system, because the forums really aren't forums. There aren't threads. You can't assign grades to each student's participation in the discussion. The discussions just go down in a straight line, and when you're going to grade them, you actually have to read each individual post, and then you have to go between the grade book. And that's why I often use two different windows, have the discussion open, and then I have turn-ins open, and I assign grades and give some comment feedbacks to my students. So another problem is you can't actually edit or delete anything. The students can't. Only the teacher can. So what this means is students are often emailing you, asking you to delete mistakes because they're embarrassed. I often just scan my discussions during the week, and I always pitch in and give some examples and help the students out and maybe cheer them on as they're having these discussions. So basically, you can think of the discussions as an overglorified community blog where basically everyone can see each other's posts. Now, this isn't technically a bad thing because stronger people usually post first, weaker people come after and use them as a model. But I think it would be nice if there was some way to actually use this in a different way. There are activities you can do to make it more interactive, maybe things like post to the person above you, create a story, a chain story, agreeing and disagreeing, and other things like that. But I guess the activity depends on the actual task. So with all the social media out there these days, it's difficult which you'd like to integrate with your LMS system. You don't have to worry about that because you actually can't integrate anything directly with Engrade unless you're trying to use something like All-Think Lessons. Now, All-Think Lessons are great. It looks like you can add videos and PowerPoints in these documents and create any chain of activities that you want, which lead up to a quiz at the end. But I don't think they're that easy to access for students. They don't go in directly into the calendar, so it's kind of one extra step for my students. So I just kind of have avoided them. Maybe you should try them, and they look like they're very, very good tools. Another big problem, no apps yet. So what I understand, they're not planning on making any apps. But there is a mobile site, m.engrade.com, so your students can access Engrade from any platform that they need to. And this, I think, makes a big difference. A lot of my students can type faster with their thumbs than their hands anyway. Update. Make sure your students update their browsers. This is one of the biggest problems I had last year. Now what I do when my students use Engrade, I make them download Firefox to begin with, and this has solved a lot of my problems. Well, I suggest doing this as well unless you want to get lots of this from your students.